Basketball season concluded in the state of Iowa earlier than in recent years. Welcome into the Voice of College Football, talking, of course, Hawkeyes football first and foremost, here each and every Tuesday with Corey Bratta from the Hawkeye of the Storm. That's a place to get your Iowa coverage of football and basketball, men's and women's, each and every day. Corey, how you doing today?
I'm doing good. Yeah, basketball, the season's ended, but the postseason, or I should say the postseason's continuing world of college basketball, but the offseason, first couple of weeks of the offseason have been as busy as they've been for certainly for the men in 15 plus years, obviously, since the last time, I guess, Iowa hired a new head coach. And that was, I mean, think about how much social media has changed things in 15 years. Iowa has not hired a head basketball coach in 15 years. So it's been interesting. And obviously with my platform, we've been, just every day news to talk about. I know part of, we kind of have the intersecting of football and basketball with one of the news items you and I are going to discuss here this afternoon, which I think is an intriguing one. And, off season, it's cool to reminisce about one of the all-time greats. His brother was hired to the staff here today. And, but yeah, there's just so much portal recruiting, people decommitting, guys coming over from McCollum's old roster at Drake. And, then you have women's basketball's done now too. So they're full bore in the portal. They had a 4-star recruit enter yesterday. They had a 5-star recruit visit over the weekend. So it's fun. This is a fun time of year, even though to some extent the sports fun is over.
So, Corey, since you have teased us, for those people that have not had a chance to check out your video post that just came out here in the last 90 minutes, or we're not able to see this online, you are alluding to, of course, the new basketball staff being filled out.
Yeah, I haven't talked about the other one yet. Ben McCollum has announced a couple new staff members, and we should get more clarity on the rest of the staff here, I would think, in the coming days, or at least next week, I would think, within that time frame. I mean, I'm sure he's got an idea of his total staff, but the people that were announced today, the one big one that I think intersects with football is the hiring of Josh Sash. And if people caught my video earlier today, you know where I'm going with this, but that last name should sound familiar. He's an Oskaloosa native, and he's the older brother of the late and great Tyler Sash, who, frankly, Mark, is one of my favorite players of all time. And there's a couple of reasons for it. One is nostalgia, because when I was growing up, this is going to make you feel old, all right? But I feel old given the fact that this guy has been coaching basketball for 22 years. But anyways, when I was growing up, watching Tyler Sash was just a treat. I mean, I think there is something to be said, and I don't think we need to go off on some tangent about this. People aren't going to really care to listen to me talk about it, but I think there's something to be said for being on the other side of what we do. I mean, I embrace this journey on YouTube and on social media and covering the sport the way I cover it several years back, and you've been doing it longer than I have. But there was something organic and special about, and some of it's age, right? You're younger and you experience the sport differently as a fan. There's nothing. I just go back to 2008, 2009, 2010. Those were the glory years for me growing up. I mean, they just were. And it's unfortunate Iowa never won a title. They did win an Orange Bowl game, so that's something. But I mean, man, watching Tyler Sash, and what's crazy about the Tyler Sash story, again, passed away far too soon, goes to the NFL, plays for the Giants, wins a Super Bowl with the Giants, has run-ins with the police. They find later that there was CTE that was heavily affecting his brain. He was dealing with immense pain and had to be very much involved with opioids and painkillers. We know what those do. Anyways, just horrible story. Outside the lines of ESPN. Of course, you're an ESPN guy, former ESPN guy. You know all about that show. Great show. Does Bob Lee, he's not around anymore, is he? Bob Lee's still alive, but is he doing anything?
He is not doing Outside the Lines. I don't know if they are, as a company, still doing Outside the Lines, but I know that he stepped away from it a few years ago.
I loved that show. And they did a special on Tyler Sash with his family after he passed. And it's just, I mean, the whole series of events with him. And you got to remember, it was him, that defensive backfield. It was he and Greenwood next to each other at safety. Brett Greenwood, who ended up playing briefly for the Steelers before he tragically collapsed and had to be rushed to the hospital. And College Game Day did a special on Brett Greenwood. 2015, Pat Anger leads Brett Greenwood, who was told at one point he would likely never walk again. He helps to lead Brett Greenwood in front of the Swarm heading out into Kinnick Stadium before the Iowa Pitt game in 2015. And I was in the stadium for that, not as a media member, as a fan. It's one of the most powerful moments that I can remember in Iowa football history. And then later that same night, Marshall Kane hits a 57-yard field goal to win the game. And of course, Iowa went on to remain undefeated during regular season. But those two guys, I mean, Brett Greenwood, thankfully is still with us and continues to rehab, but tragic. And I have so much respect. I know people who went to school with Tyler Sash. He could have played basketball in college. He had opportunities to play D1 basketball. He's a really good basketball player, so no surprise that his brother has made coaching a full-time endeavor. I don't want to say it's surprising because that'd be unfair because I don't know Josh Sash yet personally, but it's pretty incredible that he's made this successful of a career out of it. And he's been, I know you said you haven't gotten a chance to watch that video, Mark. I know you watch all of my videos religiously, but Josh Sash has coached at Drake with Ben McCollum as an assistant. He was a head coach at Indian Hills Community College, which really is a powerhouse JUCO school. And he took them to the national semifinals. He was coach of the year at Indian Hills. He was North Dakota State, 3-year assistant coach at North Dakota State, helped to take them to the Summit League Conference Championship game 3 years in a row. He was a head coach at Des Moines Area Community College, where he went 29-4 and was named coach of the year. Was an assistant coach for 3 years at Missouri, Kansas City, the Kangaroos, which is also D1 basketball, Mark. And so anyways, just cool. I'm just so happy he's back in the black and gold. I know nothing about him other than those accolades, that he's Tyler Sash's older brother, that he's married with 3 kids. And I think it's awesome. And he sounds like on paper, he's another up and comer. And, you never know how these things are going to work out. We don't know how Iowa men's basketball is going to look under Ben McCollum. But wouldn't it be cool if in 10 years, or hopefully it's longer than that, 15 years, Ben McCollum has made Iowa a power, and maybe he goes on, moves on. I don't know how old he is to look back at it, but then Tyler Sash's brother takes over. That would just be cool. We can dream, right? But I'm just happy for the Sash family. And I bet there's a level of, here I said I wasn't going to go down the rabbit hole and tangent, but here I am. I bet there's a level of emotion that comes from Josh Sash and the family and taking this job. Not that it's, but it's a no-brainer to take the job. Okay, sure, to some extent it's no-brainer, but don't you think there's probably a level of emotion? He didn't go to Iowa. He attended William Penn. William Penn. Yeah, William Penn, Drake. He got his master's from Drake, and he also got his associates at Indian Hills. So he was never an Iowa student. I would think there's going to be something very bittersweet about being involved as a Hawkeye, but also rewarding. I just thought it was an excellent way to start our show, because maybe it's just me and other people who are my age, but Tyler Sash is one of the all-time greats, regardless of numbers. And he put up great numbers, but he's one of the all-time greats.
So how old is Ben McCollum?
I knew you were going to ask that. I think he's like 50.
You knew I was going to ask that?
Well,
I was
just
going to make a comparison in regards to taking the basketball end of this, even though we don't talk basketball in here. I guess I'm going to trump my own rules. Fran McCaffrey's been around a long time. What's he, 60 years old?
No, he's like, I think he's, yeah. Well, actually, he probably is. Ben McCollum's 43, by the way.
So they hire a slightly younger coach. It's not like he's a kid, but then I got to think Tyler Sash's brother is going to be in his late 30s.
Well, he's been coaching 22 years.
Oh,
so,
okay. So he's an older brother. Tyler Sash, I just saw that he would be 37 now.
Yeah, so my guess is he is in his 50s. McCaffrey's 65. So he's actually hired at the exact same age 15 years ago as Ben McCollum now. Let me see if I can see how old Josh Sash is. They probably don't have that yet, but
and so since Josh Sash has been around for quite a long time, I don't think this is no kind of courtesy hire. He's done a fine job. He's got a very fine career. It just worked out this way that he was able to come to Iowa. And like you say, even though he didn't attend or play for the University of Iowa, it's just it's a very poignant hiring.
I'm showing that Josh Sash is basically the same age as Ben McCollum. He's 44. I just exited off the window. 44. So they're basically the same age. But so yeah, maybe, I mean, he may end up somewhere else, right? Ben McCollum may end up somewhere else. Hey, it would be a good problem to have if Ben McCollum takes Iowa to a Final Four and they become a power and he gets hired by a blue blood, and then Tyler Sash's brother takes over because of the success. That'd be great. So part of the reason Fran was, let's be honest, part of the reason Fran stuck it out at Iowa so long during an era where most coaches, if they succeed, are off to bigger and better things, is because there was a cap on the program under Fran. They never made a Sweet 16. They've made a Sweet 16 since 1999. And that was what's ironic is Iowa this week got Cooper Koch out of the transfer portal back to the team. He'll be a redshirt freshman, assuming his medical hardship waiver gets approved. His dad, JR, was a part of the 99 team. That's how long it's been. You remember JR Koch, I'm guessing,
yes,
maybe?
I do.
So we had JR on the show, and his son is going to be a really good basketball player for Iowa. But yeah, wouldn't it be cool if Iowa, I know you don't not connected to it directly, but if Iowa gets back to the Sweet 16 under Ben McCollum, who grew up an Iowa basketball fan, watch that 99 team. He's got a picture with Dr. Tom Davis at a camp. He grew up in Iowa. Tyler Sash's brother helps him lead to the promised land, and then you got J.R. Koch's son who takes Iowa back. It would just be a cool storyline. So, and they don't have to do it this year because it's likely Cooper sticks around for a few years, and one would think McCollum, Sash will be here for a few years as well.
If our buddy James' numbers are correct, he is letting us know that McCollum is the same age as Kirk Ferentz was when he took the job as head football coach.
I misspoke, folks. I misspoke. That's correct. He's the same age as Kirk was when he took the job. Fran was older. The reason I got that confused is Fran had little kids too. I mean, you look at the family back then, you're like, oh, they're about the same age. Ben's got, I believe, 3 kids, 2 sons and a daughter, 1 son in high school. Daughter might be junior high, youngest son, whatever they call that, intermediate, elementary. Fran was basically the same with his kids when he got here, but Fran was an older father. So Fran would have been, I think, 50 when he took the Iowa job. Yes, people are going to jump all over me for that in the comments section because, people write comments when this show is posted, Mark. They write comments before watching the rest of the video to see if the person who made a mistake corrected themselves. So yes, I'm going to get ripped for that. But yes, Ben McCollum is younger at the start of his tenure than Fran was, but he's the same age as Kirk was at the start of his tenure. And one could say that here's another football connection, that Jared DeVries' younger brother, Darian, would have been the glamorous hire. Just like in 99, when Bob Stoops would have been the glamorous hire. They miss on Bob Stoops, or they don't commit to Bob Stoops in time. He goes to OU. Iowa settles for Kirk. He's here 20 plus years. We may have the same situation. I keep saying Tucker, man. He's going to transfer to Indiana too. But Darian DeVries ends up at Indiana. Stays at West Virginia for a year. Ends up at Indiana, a blue blood. Iowa settles for number 2, and I don't think they're settling at all. I like Ben McCollum a lot, and so there's some parallels there.
Rick is enjoying the Tiger Hawk. Is that what that is? The Tiger Hawk.
The Tiger Hawk. That's right. The big old Tiger Hawk.
The Tiger Hawk.
Well, I think that wasn't that a Fry invention? I think that was a Fry invention.
Oh, okay.
That wasn't around before. Remember the vintage Hawkeye logo, which I love. Remember the old vintage Hawkeye logo, Mark?
When we're talking vintage, are we talking about like within my lifetime, or are you talking about like really vintage?
No, within your lifetime. It's still around. It's still around. Here,
I didn't think that Iowa had changed its uniforms in the entire time that I've watched them.
I'll share it real quick.
Like if we went back to and took shots of the Rose Bowls from the 1980s.
Well, do you remember this logo?
No. This is, how old do you think I am?
Is that, you really don't remember this logo? I mean,
I don't.
It's back.
That logo.
It's back now, Mark.
It predates me. Where is it? I don't see it.
What do you mean, where is it?
It's not on the football team's helmets.
Well, no, I mean, they're not like it's not the primary logo they use, but I'm just saying it is still
It's around.
Yeah, it's around.
Okay.
Anyways.
Yeah.
Sorry, you don't like that. You like that view,
No,
don't you?
I think that's way too much Mark for the audience. I don't think they want
You
to see
used to
that.
go with that view a lot, Mark. You
I
used to
did.
go with that view a lot. I've noticed. See, you and I are the opposite. We do very different things on StreamYard.
I know, because you know what I have to do all the time? I have to instruct my people to turn on the block lettering. And
Oh,
then I know when you've done a video generally
block
because
lettering.
it's
Block lettering? What are you talking
yes,
about, block lettering? I don't
this.
change the lettering.
Yes, you do. You change
What
it to
lettering?
that.
Oh, bubble. I see. I like the bubble. You
Yes.
know what I started? I started with the bubble a long time ago, and I never went back. I don't know
Yeah,
why.
you're that's what you do, and then I've got to go in here and change it back.
I used to go block, and I've changed to bubble. But once you go, you never can come back, Bruce.
No, you don't. All right. I wanted to talk about the quarterback position from this standpoint. I just found out today that Kirk made a comment last week that seems rather odd to me, that he would say that they are more I don't want to take him. Okay, I am paraphrasing. So if anyone catches me on particular words, I did not verbatim take this down, but in a sense that I know that he said this, they know more about Mark Gronowski than they do their own quarterbacks. What is he talking about?
I don't. You want me to look through the portal? What am I saying? You want me to look through the transcript right now?
Sure.
I can look through
looked
the
this up
transcript.
today. I was looking for stuff for us to talk about. Folks, you can leave your comments and questions. We'll answer anything because it's that time of year when we don't have that much to talk about. I think this is the first time in the history of this show that we've kind of hit a lull in terms of topics, because we never used to have this kind of issue. But I noticed this in looking through the quarterbacks portion of last week's news conference, that he made this comment that they know more about Mark Gronowski than their own quarterbacks. Now, I would understand that if they had a bunch of guys sitting around that were redshirt sophomores and never played, but we're talking about a quarterback in Brendan Sullivan, who started most of last season and was the starting quarterback at Northwestern before that.
You know, some people are going to say, Mark, you complain if your water was wet. Here is the comment. Here are the comments. Let me just read through these in case people missed the press conference, and sometimes reading the transcript really does help with understanding. In regards to Mark, he was asked about where he is as far as his recovery. Mark will be throwing lightly here probably in a couple weeks, not with the team. Biggest thing right now is just make sure nobody runs into him. He doesn't fall down, just being cautious with him. Everything has gone great, right on schedule. He's probably a little bit ahead. That type of deal. We'll play it conservatively. In a perfect world, you want everybody out there practicing. In his case, he's played a lot of football, and there's evidence that he knows how to play. He's smarter than the whole coaching staff combined. Some of that might be tongue in cheek, Mark.
That's funny.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, sure.
Let's keep going here. Dean's List guy, medical engineering. That part I think is going to come really quickly for him. Tim Lester didn't go on the road this year, so he spent a lot of time with the quarterbacks individually and collectively individually during winter months, and he's caught on. For new players, it's like learning a new system and a new language. That's the biggest difference. No different than when players jump in the NFL. They just have to learn the language, that type of thing. It's all going good, all going well, which is basically what you'd expect for any transfer portal player. Certainly quarterback's a little different. But, of course, we've seen so many quarterbacks transfer and succeed other places, right? Maybe not at Iowa, but at other places. It's not like it's hard to do necessarily. It happens all the time.
What has been hard for me to do over the last 15 seconds, Corey, has been to bite my tongue, because you obviously haven't looked at your phone in the last 15 minutes. I don't know if anyone else out there is scanning the internet while we're on right now. And I did not think that this would be possible, especially in this position. But Brian Ferentz coming back to Iowa football as passing game analyst.
Oh my goodness.
Are you seeing this?
Let me see. My internet froze up here. What are you hearing?
I am seeing this. With your connections, I'm surprised that you didn't get a lead on this.
No, I didn't get a lead.
But this is what I'm picking up here. Brian Ferentz, who obviously was the offensive coordinator and then he moves on as an analyst to Maryland, and then he got an NFL job, passing game analyst for the University of Iowa for this season to work with Tim Lester and the rest of the offensive staff.
Well, at least the passing game should be in good shape, right?
All right, everyone. Yes, you caught us there, Isaac.
All right. That was you. That was all you, Mark. I had nothing to do with that.
You had nothing to do with this.
I had nothing to do with it. You asked me to come up with a scenario that was absurd.
So it's not that you had nothing to do with it. I texted Corey this afternoon. I said, we got to come up with an April Fool's. And so this was Corey's brainchild. My idea was his brainchild. All right.
Should we go back to this, Mark?
Yes, let's get back to that.
All right. So this is the last thing he said about Mark, or maybe not the last thing, but the last thing we're going to touch on. He was asked about initial impressions. You've only been around him a couple months. What are your initial takeaways? But Kirk said, got to see him on film. That speaks for itself. How he played, more importantly, leadership. There's no avoiding that. He clearly did that. He delivered his team to a victory a lot. That's really impressive. Under-recruited guy. He brought up guy in 1981. With who are we talking about in 81? Under-recruited guy from Chicago that did pretty well. Are we talking about one of the Hartleaves? No. Who would have been in 81?
81.
See, this is where I'm not good with history, but
Chuck Long, 81. His last year was 85.
Okay, maybe he's talking about Chuck. I'll deviate for 1 second. Had some free time last week, just going through some stuff. Tend to collect stuff. Here we go, and he's going off on a tangent. What is he talking about here, baby? Okay, he brings up Bill Polian. In this case, Mark is a proven player. He's done it on film, hasn't done it at the Big Ten level, but good players are good players in my mind. Kind of person he is in his demeanor. He's fairly quiet, has a humbleness to him and a confidence to him that's very genuine. I think the whole room is in really good shape right now. And he says, Hank has been a great addition. Can't say enough about Sullivan, just going back to June when he showed up, his work ethic, just his personality, his leadership traits. It's a really good group of guys. They're competing with each other. So where are you getting this thing where he said something about Mark being
I did not look at the transcript, but I read an article. I skimmed through an article, and that stuck out to me that he would say that.
Yeah, I don't remember that comment, but...
Okay, I will find it and bring it up.
Yeah.
In the meantime, before we go to our special guest for the day, I don't know if many here saw your video on the basketball hire, because no, it was not the basketball hire. It was a reel or a short that I saw you produce.
Yeah, I'm not a big shorts guy. So when I post a short, well, I should be. Yeah, there's lots of things I should be doing. Yeah, I did a little trolling last night with that shorts video, just because it's amazing how long you can feel the ramifications from a horrendous athletics directing hire. And it wasn't even a high. How long was Gary Barta here? Way too long. But from the financial problems to the media problems, and in this case, you have no clause for Fran McCaffery. I mean, you're how many years into a tenure? 2021. So he was about 11 years into his tenure. He was hitting 60 when over 60 years old when they signed this extension with Fran. And I'm talking about Gary. And they don't include a clause to where he can't take another job and still get paid. What a stupid thing.
I thought that was pretty standard.
It's not standard with Gary. Nothing's standard with Gary. Nothing's standard with Gary. So how stupid. But anyways, yeah, I kind of went off on that because just insane. So now Fran can go back to the Ivy League, not care what he's making, and coach for however long he wants, do whatever he wants over there in the Ivy League where he played. Great for him. I'm happy for him. But he's still collecting $4.26 million from Iowa. So anyways, thank your lucky stars for Beth Getz, I guess. That's the only thing I can say about it.
So, folks, if you watch the rest of our channels here at the Voice of College Football, you probably know that we are forever expanding, bringing on new people, and we are doing that as well here on the Iowa channel, and also a venture that we are launching here in the next month with a Voice of College Football website. So we've got a new addition here in Zoe Bendler. Zoe, it's great to see you.
Hello, everyone.
Let everybody out there know that this is actually when I'm meeting you for the first time as well.
Yes. Yes. How are you guys?
We're doing great.
Good to meet you, Zoe.
Yes,
Zoe, this is
nice to meet
Corey.
you. A little virtual handshake, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Zoe, thanks so much for being here. So you, of course, are a student at the University of Iowa. So we are first and foremost interested in your experience and how everything's going for you.
Yeah, so I'm a third year here at the university. I'll be graduating next May, so I'm a junior. I am double majoring in sport media culture and also journalism. So I started sport media culture my second year at Iowa. So actually last year it was a new major at the university. So I was like one of the first people to like test run that. And it's been really great. So I do that. I'm also a dance minor. Then on top of that, I got into sports and started being the Association of Women in Sport vice president, moving to be president next year. So I've been super busy with that, super busy with writing for the university, covering different sports events and stuff like that.
Wow, you are an overachiever. You're going to whip us into shape here at the Voice of College Football. I can see that already. Maybe you should analyze our chat from week to week. With sports culture, I'm sure you could do quite
There
the
you go.
analysis.
Yeah, keep me on the socials.
Yes, absolutely.
We don't want her to drop out of school, Mark. Don't have her look at the chat, please. Never a good idea. So Zoe, tell us about your day to day. I mean, I'm curious. So you talked about your major, this program that was just launched basically last year.
Yeah. So last year I had a meeting with my advisor and they were wondering, because I took a few of the sports classes, like sports rec and management, but I was never interested in that. I just took them because I was like, oh, I like sports, I'll take these. And then they told me they were launching this new program that really focuses on like the culture of sports rather than just like the coaching aspect of it, which was a lot of like what the university focused on. So with that, I get to tie journalism, a lot of social media, which I'm super interested in, with sports, which has been super cool. So honestly, I couldn't even give you a day today. I run around all over the place. I ran from my dance class to a random meeting room that's behind me to jump on this really quick. But I'm all over the place. I try to go to as many sporting events as possible. I film some content, I write for the university, and then I'm also an ambassador here for the sport media culture major. So I do like student-led panels. I sit on those every Friday, work with the administrators here. So it's a lot. I'm all over the place, but I love it. I wouldn't have it any other way.
How would you characterize the culture of Iowa athletics?
I feel like when people think of the University of Iowa, the first thing they think of is sports. Like, I feel like that is like our culture here is mainly focused on sports. And I feel like that's because we don't have professional teams in Iowa. So like the college team, like we really have a huge audience and everybody really rallies behind that. So I think that's why, like, I'm from Iowa originally. So I grew up like knowing everything about Iowa sports and just thinking it was so cool. And then you come here and I feel like that's everybody's main focus is game days and stuff like that. And a lot of us, like, we're always checking our phones, getting new updates and everything, especially like with basketball recently, everybody entering the transfer portal. I feel like all of us were refreshing our feeds like every 5 seconds, like, oh my gosh, who's next? So, and it's nice because it is a small enough campus. So you do know the athletes, you become friends with those people. So that's cool too.
What part of Iowa did you grow up in, Zoe?
I'm from Mount Pleasant. So it's like 45 minutes south of the campus here. So.
Yep, I'm from Marshalltown originally, and I'm in enemy territory now here in Ames. But very, very, yeah, right. I get that response a lot, but I've been here about a decade, so I've acclimated quite well. But
well, that's good.
Yeah, we were just talking about this before you hopped on that, and I know maybe it's a little different because you're kind of on the inside now, looking out to some extent as it relates to Iowa athletics. But this is the first year in a long time where we've had this busy of a first 2 weeks following the ends of Iowa women's basketball, Iowa men's basketball. There's just been news every day as it relates to coaching, portal, recruitment of players decommitting. I'm assuming you're probably pretty well invested into women's basketball. So the Aaliyah Guyton news yesterday. So anyways, there's just a lot, but Mark will get mad if we go off on a tangent about anything other than football.
No. So, I think that's a good topic, actually. And Minnie's going the same direction in our chat. So this Caitlin Clark phenomenon. So what Corey is referring to, Zoe, is that I'm a stickler. It is the Voice of College Football. Right. So any deviation from that, I have like stepped on people's toes, practically hit them across the face. We're a football channel. Stop it. But I've mellowed, I guess, in my old age here recently. So we did have quite a few Caitlin Clark discussions. Yeah. Actually, I found out from Corey who Caitlin Clark was. I didn't
But
know
that says
who she
more.
was.
Again, that says more about you, Mark. We've already determined that.
No, that's not a diss on Caitlin Clark. She
Yeah.
was phenomenal. I'm just saying I was a little late to the party. It was like, it must have been March Madness 2 years ago
Sure.
that I became acquainted with Caitlin Clark. So being ingrained in the culture of sports, that had to be something to witness as well, because you obviously haven't been around the block too many times, but I can say, having been around the block quite a few times, that's something in a male dominated world of sports that we see her take center stage and pretty much lift an entire sport with her to national prominence.
Yeah, it was insane to witness. I mean, we have courses here now at the university that are called the Caitlin Clark effect. So that's crazy. And we now have like women's sport culture classes. I'm in one of those right now. And we never had those before Caitlin came through Iowa. So that just really shows that not only has she affected the sports world, but like the academic world as well, which is insane. But that was so cool to watch. I know my freshman year was like when everybody really started seeing her, especially in the media. And that was everything with Angel Reese as well. So I kind of watched that like the entirety of my college career, which was insane. I don't know if I should say this, but Caitlin Clark was my neighbor last year. So that was crazy as well. That's like that thing where it's like, okay, you like meet them and they're like famous, but you have to be cool, So I dealt with that. But she is so cool. And she really has done a lot for women in sports and women in sports media.
Now, Corey's making me look bad because now we've closed the loop, and now I'm actually defending her on social media and all sorts of things.
Good for you, Mark. We're happy for you. Okay, go back to. If I could have one more question here, Mark, and then you can deviate and go back to your world. But I want to ask real quickly about, you talked about culture. So I guess I asked you about day to day. What does that look like day to day? What are you talked about your writing. What are you doing what do you do on a day to day basis, and what does that look like secularly? I mean, like what field are you planning to enter into, assuming that it focuses on sports culture?
Yeah, so originally I wanted to do behind the scenes writing. That was my main thing. So I would go to sporting events, write quick little write-ups after that. That was kind of what I did. I did it for fun. It wasn't going anywhere. I had it. I published my own work. That's just what I did. And then this year, with being that school ambassador, I can actually publish my work to like our university pages, stuff like that, and get it out there. And then I decided that I do like doing on-air work. So big picture goal would be some kind of on-air talent for broadcasting. I do like writing still and like bringing that. So like being able to tie my work into obviously public speaking is kind of what I'm looking at. I haven't done as much on-air work because Iowa doesn't really offer that. So
real quick,
a lot of writing focused here.
I'm not trying to rip anybody that's involved. I'm not trying to rip anybody in the journalism program at Iowa, but there's not a real high bar for some of the Big Ten plus, the Big Ten plus talent. So is that something that you have an opportunity to throw your card in the ring there, or
yeah. So that's usually a lot of the people that want to do sports reporting here at Iowa. That's usually like their first starting point, like their stepping stone. We have a daily Iowan TV program here. Is pretty good, and that's usually first spot, then Big Ten work, and then kind of wherever from there. So a lot of people do that. I have seen that studio. I toured that studio in Chicago. I think it's just the fact that everybody goes there that I didn't go there.
Okay. I'm not trying to be
no,
judgmental
I
of
get
people
it.
that work it, but we field so many complaints. I mean, and it's unfortunate because this is not fair to the students who are learning and who are working hard. But yeah, Mark, that's all I got. That's good.
Well, I just want to know a couple other things. One would be, Zoe, was this part of the plan the entire time you were growing up, that it was always going to be the University of Iowa? Or did you just kind of survey all sorts of options and this just turned out to be the best option, even though it wasn't close to home?
I think I always knew I was going to end up here. I mean, my dad works up in this area, so he's like 5 minutes away from me. Everybody else in my family is in this area. My little sister is here now. My brother went to school here before me. So it was just kind of I just kind of knew I wanted to be here. I didn't think I'd be able to move too far away from home. And I've been coming here ever since I was super, super little. One of the first little pictures of me was on Kinnick Stadium. So I kind of knew the environment. I knew I'd like it. And if I didn't like it, I could go home every weekend because it was so close. So
there you go.
Yeah, I'm glad I came here.
And I know it's way too early to make any kind of predictions or anything, but do you have a good feel for the 2025 season right now in football? Do you feel good about this team?
I want to say yes. I do want to say yes, and I want to be hopeful going into my senior year. It's always tricky with a new quarterback, and I just saw like the press conference about 5 days ago where it seems everything's going good with surgery. It seems he's ahead of the game, able to start throwing lightly soon, but I feel like bringing somebody new in is always kind of stressful. So, but I'm staying positive. It's early. Staying positive, trust what everybody's saying.
Well, Zoe, it was great to meet you. And again, folks, you will see a lot of Zoe here on the channel and also other ventures here across the Voice of College Football Network. So, Zoe, thank you so much for stopping by. And now you can run off to your next thing. Whatever.
I will. I got to go run.
Good to meet you, Zoe. Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Thank you. Have a good day. All right. There we go.
Good stuff. It's going to be a good addition to your team here.
I believe so. We have a lot of good additions. Let's see, we onboarded some Florida State guys and some Tennessee guys this week and LSU and
I said, we're just trying to phase you out of this thing, aren't we?
That's exactly what was on my mind as I was saying that.
No, it sounds like she's got a good head on her shoulders and hard worker, and it's always good to have somebody from the inside. And I think she's right. I mean, she brought up quarterback. That's what we talked about earlier before she got here. There should be some. I'm glad she said that. I mean, we can talk about how great it is that Iowa landed Mark Gronowski, but the reality is, as we've discussed, there was this much optimism or more when Iowa landed Cade McNamara 2 years ago. And it's just these people who live in the moment just amaze me, Mark. Every single year, really every single week, every single day. Iowa's Aaliyah Guyton enters the portal yesterday on the women's basketball front. I have to bring women's basketball back into this. She enters the portal, and I get a flood of comments on the video, on my post about it. They're better off without her. She sucked. She knew she wasn't going to play. It's like, you have no idea what you're talking about. It's the same attitude, addition by subtraction garbage, that you're just more times than not, you're just wrong as it relates to the portal. You're just wrong. And it's okay to be wrong, but you're just wrong. I had two people yesterday in the same, and I know other people agree with these people. I'm not going to call them idiots, but these people out there in the comment section, I had two people say, she's not going to even get D1 offers. I mean, literally, this is what people are saying. She was a 4-star recruit out of high school. By the way, her dad's AJ Guyton. We've discussed him. But she's already in less than 24 hours, Mark, just for some context here, in less than 24 hours, she has reported interest from Oregon, Marquette, Illinois, Michigan State, Nebraska, Arizona State, Purdue, and DePaul. Not even going to get D1 offer. I mean, come on, man. Don't be dumb. Like, you can be upset about it. Be upset about it. I said it yesterday. Be upset about the fact that Aaliyah Guyton's moving on. But it's like the idea that I have to rationalize why it's actually for the best. Why can't you just accept that it's not a good thing and hope that they can recover and go somewhere else with the move? Just like with quarterback. Can't we accept that you got people, we all, and maybe not to the extent, I didn't get the extent that the other people did, but people got too excited about Cade McNamara. He wasn't as good as people thought. It wasn't as ideal as people thought. They still had a horrific offensive coordinator coaching Cade McNamara. He still was incredibly prone to injury. And by the way, he plays at East Tennessee State now. So none of it matters. So I'm not saying that's going to be Mark's future, but I'm just saying, look at it and be like, I can be objective and say there is some uncertainty about the injury. There's some uncertainty. Doesn't mean it's to the extent of Cade, but there should be some level of angst, like Zoe said.
Well, in the case of Cade McNamara, what people knew was they watched that guy play in the Big Ten championship game, win the Big Ten, go to the college football playoff. And regardless of what the evaluation of his personal play was, that's impressive to people. And it is impressive from a career standpoint, but obviously that doesn't always translate. And I would love to have the personnel to go back and tear apart our shows from that time, because I thought we were fairly on the mark in terms of saying that this is a good thing for Iowa, potentially, that he could be a good fit as a game manager quarterback. But let's not go crazy that he is a bottom half of the Big Ten starting quarterback.
But now, correct me if I'm wrong, you actually think, have you come out with your Big Ten quarterback rankings heading into spring?
I have not.
All right. So, but my guess is you're going to say Gronowski is top half of the Big Ten.
Yes.
So, I mean, you are objective. You've proven that, but you're evaluating him differently than Cade, as am I. I don't do the rank. I'm not a national guy. I'm not a conference guy like you are. But yeah, I would probably place him top half. But that's not because I think the Big Ten is going to be down at quarterback. There is a lot of change. It's so hard to evaluate. It's just like, here, I'll go on another tangent. It's just like this morning, Iowa men's basketball announced their first opponent for the next season. They're playing Robert Morris at home. Robert Morris won their conference this year, Mark. They went to the Sweet 16. They went to the NCAA tournament and competed well against 2-seed Alabama, only lost by 9. But it used to mean something. You used to be able to schedule a mid-major program and be like, yeah, this is a good program that we're scheduling, or this is not a good program. But anymore, I don't know what the data says, but I do know the data that says you've got thousands of people in the portal. So, like, I already know Robert Morris has lost a bunch of their best players, because if a program excels one year, then their best guys are going to be on the radar, up for money to play at bigger schools. So then they're going to lose all kinds of. So I would expect it to, maybe not always, because the best programs at the mid-major level should be able to restock with other transfers from that level and D2, etc. But you could see in some conferences a cycle of bad, good, bad, good, bad, good, because unless you're lower half of your mid-major conference, you don't have time to develop guys. And then when you do develop them, you're good for 1 year, but then you lose them to bigger schools. So that's the challenge NIL and the transfer portal provides for mid-major schools. And I wonder if we're going to see somewhat of an effect there for the Big Ten. I don't think you're going to see as much, because these Big Ten schools are getting, just like the SEC, they're getting the best of the best quarterbacks every year, because it's the best of the best in college football. So even schools that lose really good quarterbacks, they should be able to more often than not reload. I don't know about, we know some of the players that have moved around. I think there's some schools where I don't project somebody to be, I don't expect Billy Edwards to be a great Big Ten quarterback, but I would have never expected what's his face to go from Wisconsin down to Florida and put up the type of numbers he did. So it's hard to project. And there's a lot of talent in this league.
Yeah, I think that after Drew Aller, that it's a tough job to differentiate performance or projected performance out of these quarterbacks all over the Big Ten. But I do expect him to be a top, if he's healthy, to be a top 6 or 7 quarterback in the Big Ten.
Yeah. And that's pretty darn good in a conference of 18. That's top third of the league. So if they have that and their defense can get back to close to what it was 2 years ago, they're making a push for 10-2. And I believe 10-2. I probably said this last year, and I may have been wrong. We'll never know because they didn't get to 10-2. But I believe that if they get to 10-2 with this schedule, they'll likely be in the college football playoff. Remind me again what the playoff scenarios were at the bottom of the 12 teams, not counting the G5 team. What were the Boise State? What were the what records of the teams on the bubble, so to speak?
The teams that just made it were 10-2.
And what about the teams that didn't make it?
So the teams, the at-large, you're talking about the at-large teams.
At-large teams, what were their records?
Ohio State, Tennessee, 10-2, 10-2.
teams that did not make it that were on the cusp
they
but
did
fell
not.
just short. Yes.
Did anyone make it? So there were some 10-2 teams that did not make it. BYU 10-2.
Big 12.
Yes. The others were 9-3 teams.
So my point is,
Miami 10-2 did not make it.
But so far we're 1 year sample. We've not seen any Big 10 or SEC teams go 10-2 and not make the playoff.
Correct.
I think with the schedule, it would be a travesty, unless there's just a ridiculous situation of dominant teams in the top 8. It would be a travesty if Iowa bullies through that schedule and gets to 10-2 and doesn't make the playoff. I think they're in the playoff. They get to 10-2. And maybe even in the conversation at 9-3. Sounds like there were some other programs that were in the conversation this year at 9-3 that didn't play in the 2 best conferences in the country.
No, that did play in the 2 best conferences.
No,
Alabama, Ole Miss, South Carolina, those teams.
Yeah, but BYU and Miami
10-2.
Right. Okay, 10-2. Sure. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, but 9-3 in the better conferences. So we've run through the schedule. I have a hard time placing a lot of confidence on 10-2 at this point. We're going to get a look at this team in a few weeks. Open spring practice. Won't get to see Mark, but
this guy's a wild card.
Raiola, she says Raiola looks. I saw a video of him the other day, and he looked like a tank. He looked like Deacon Hill.
Okay,
he looked like Deacon Hill. I got to find this video.
He's loaded with talent, but he was pretty rough last year. Now, true freshman season, so he's a wild card in terms of what he's going to deliver this year. Whether he's going to be vastly improved, but he was a bit lost at times last year. Did not throw the ball well. Very scattershot.
Yeah, I don't know where this video is, but somebody comment. I saw a comment on the video was what turned my head. Because someone, maybe it was an older video of him, and I can't find it. I probably won't be able to find it either. But what is he? Do you know what he's listed at?
Well, we've got an update on his weight. He's apparently been on a diet since January.
Okay, all right. Well, he's 240 last year. He's listed at
240 as a freshman.
That's what I'm saying. He was Deacon Hill. It was Deacon Hill. Now he's 230. He's what you call a big boy.
Yeah.
And that you can't be Patrick Mahomes at 230 or 240. He's with his frame, he's probably going to need to get down to at least 220.
Yeah.
Makes me think of a couple other really great talents, like the quarterback that came out of LSU back in 2003 or whatever. Who am I thinking of? Played for
Jamarcus Russell.
Right. He could never get his weight under control. And part of it is because he didn't work hard enough, right? I think that's been well documented.
I don't know that he was the most cerebral quarterback either.
What do you mean by that?
Meaning he might not have been real smart.
Well, you don't have to be smart to put in to play great football. I mean,
well, at that position, it helps.
It does help. It does help.
Talk to Tom Brady.
However,
Peyton Manning.
However, let me say this: there are some guys that don't appear to be the most well-spoken, but man, they ball. Like Lamar Jackson. I never thought Lamar Jackson was all that well-spoken. He's just a baller. Like
I didn't mention being well-spoken. There are people that are not well-spoken that are very intelligent people, and vice versa.
Where do you gather that Jamarcus Russell was not smart? Besides just
from like Wonderlic test scores at the NFL draft, okay. Those sorts of things, the NFL Combine.
All right.
Yeah. And it was well documented that he did not apply himself physically or mentally to prepare for games or prepare himself to be better.
Minnie says she's been following Raiola since she was 16, and she says that's pathetic. She knows. Hey, I'm sure
pathetic. Are we pathetic?
No, I think she's saying it's pathetic that she admits to following a 16-year-old. Yeah. But I think there's probably, I don't know when he started getting ranked, but I'm sure there was people following him when he was 13 or 14. Now that's creepy.
It is.
That's creepy, but
16, he's probably,
you're a recruit.
Sophomore. He was a big recruit at 16.
Yeah, I'm not going to be getting some paparazzi job in his hometown, but
yeah. I do as little as I possibly can with recruiting. I try to stay with that, which is a great segue to our recruiting show that we do. Let's see.
And by the way,
typically
Gronowski, Chev Yoda says Gronowski's is 230. Well, okay, but Gronowski's also a fifth-year guy who plays a lot different than Raiola. At least my perception of Raiola is that he would like to be not Mahomes-esque, but he would like to be a real weapon with his legs. Correct?
Raiola?
That's ideally like what.
Impression.
That's not your impression at all? Okay.
No,
Well,
I
maybe
think he wants to be Patrick Mahomes in everything he does, down to his, head bobs or everything the guy does.
So he wants to be
fashion.
mobile.
Well, yeah. Patrick Mahomes is mobile. Of course, he's mobile, but he's not a run-first quarterback.
No, I'm not saying run first. Patrick Mahomes is one of the most elusive quarterbacks in the league. Can we agree on that?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's what I'm saying. I think that's how Raiola would like to play. That's not who Gronowski is. Gronowski's a solid mover, but I think a guy like Gronowski can play at 225, 230, whereas Raiola ideally needs to probably get down to 215, 220. And he was like 240 last year, if I'm not mistaken.
Our recruiting and transfer portal show is typically on Tuesday, but it's going to be this Thursday. So if you love recruiting and transfer portal news, join myself and Leanne Herring Thursday at 1 Eastern. That's typically Tuesday at 1 Eastern.
By the way, Chev Yoda says Mahomes is listed at 225. He's not 225. See, I get into these fights all the time with people because I called Josh Dix 6'2" the other day and he's listed at 6'5". We may not be 6'2", but he's certainly not 6'5". He may be 6'3". You're pushing 6'4". Mahomes is not 225.
Now, you well know that I will get into just about any sports debate, but when it comes to trying to judge how heavy someone is, check me out of that one. I don't know.
Well, I don't think he's 225.
I know that Dylan Raiola looked like he was packing on some pounds last year and had a bit of a gut for a freshman in college.
It's the what do you call them? What are those little Hostess cupcake things with the little bow?
Twinkies.
No, the little chocolate ones, and they have the little
Ho-hos.
Are they ho-hos? They got the little white
Yes.
ribbon. Yeah, it's the ho-hos.
Oh, I used to love those.
I know, and he does too. Yeah, I'm sure. Looking, those are college. That's college food, man. When you're at that age, you're eating. Now, hopefully, in that program, they're straightening that out. But I'm guessing he struggled with that because of his eating habits.
Or the Little Debbie's version. Those are the Swiss rolls. Those are the Swiss rolls. The Hostess.
And I prefer Swiss rolls over ho-hos.
Really?
Yes.
I don't.
Really? In general, would you say you prefer Hostess over Little Debbie?
I do like the Swiss rolls, but the ho-hos. Now, I've not had a ho-ho in a few years.
Yeah.
But what I remember is that they deteriorated. So they were not in their prime. They've not.
Okay. Well, maybe
kind of preserve the recipe.
Maybe I don't know the true meaning of a ho-ho.
But the Little Debbie's, the best Little Debbie's options are the fudge round. Have you ever had a fudge round?
I have had. Are you really? I've had just about every Little Debbie known to man.
So the fudge rounds are phenomenal.
Top 5. Give me the top 5. Your top 5 Little Debbies right now.
Fudge rounds.
Okay, fudge rounds.
The Nutter Butter, whatever they call them.
They're nutty. I think they're Nutty Buddies now.
Yeah, that are the cracker.
Oh, like phenomenal.
Chocolate, peanut butter dipped.
Fudge round. Okay.
The oatmeal pies with the cream filling.
You get the double deckers.
Yeah.
You get the double deckers. All right, that's 3. Go ahead.
Then I might be forgetting something, but I'll go with the zebra cakes.
Ooh, yeah.
The white.
And that's 4. What about donut sticks? Do you like the donut sticks?
I've not had a donut stick in a long, long time. I love donuts. I almost got some Krispy Kreme yesterday.
What about moon pies?
Oh, moon pies. I love moon pies. Yeah.
Oh, man. That's great. Hey, I would have to go Nutty Buddies first.
Okay.
I'd have to put honey buns. I don't eat honey buns because I think they're, to me, they're just, just like I mean, I like donuts, but there's not that there's nutritional value in any of this stuff. And I don't like cosmic brownies. Ugh. Count me out.
I love those. See, I would have put those in my top 5. Kick out the zebra cakes, put in the cosmic brownies.
Only way I'll do that is if it's with some ice cream, some vanilla ice cream. I'll shove it in there. But so honey buns, I'll take the zebra cakes in there as well. The Nutty Buddies. I don't like banana twins. I don't like oatmeal cream pies. I like Swiss rolls. I haven't had a Swiss roll in years. And then there's have you ever heard of raisin cakes?
I don't like raisins. Well, I don't mix fruit with my desserts. I'm a chocoholic.
All right. And then I would probably, and I don't buy these often either, but I'm going to give you one that's kind of off the wall. Little Debbie has a unicorn sparkling strawberry.
Okay.
You ever seen these?
No.
They are, maybe I can I pull it up?
It's pretty involved.
Yeah. Look. Well, I mean, this is
complicated. I
know we're going over here, so let me just real quickly share this. Well, why is it not letting me just pull up the darn thing on a
I am fortunately done for the night, which.
All right. So yeah, this is the Star Crunch. Kent brings up the Star. Hey, Kent is coming into us on Facebook.
Yes.
He brings up the Star Crunch.
Thank you, Kent. I got to fix it. I got to fit in the Star Crunch. Yes. Those are phenomenal.
Here are the Little Debbie unicorns.
Yeah, unicorn I have cakes. Seen those.
Those are good, but they're basically
zebra cakes.
Yeah, they're basically
the same thing.
Chalked up version of a zebra
Except
cake.
For those, is that like a strawberry?
Yeah,
cake?
It's like a strawberry cake is what it is.
Okay, it's different then.
So,
I don't know what I would do with my top 5 now because I don't know what I'm gonna kick out for the Star Crunch.
Yeah, Star Crunches are good.
I might kick out the oatmeal pies actually.
Do you like banana twins?
No, I don't like. I generally, there are some exceptions. I don't like fruit-based desserts.
Okay. What about the mini?
If I want to eat fruit, I eat fruit.
What about the mini frosted donuts?
Mini frosted. You're talking about like the powder donuts?
Yeah, they're Little Debbie. You like those?
Yeah, I like powdered donuts.
Okay.
The little tiny ones, yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking at some of the other ones here.
And then Entenmann's makes a great pack.
Oh, yeah. Hey, I don't ever buy. See, I don't. If I'm going to buy a donut, I buy I buy fresh stuff because I could eat those Little Debbie mini donuts.
Oh, you should buy Entenmann's.
Oh, I know Entenmann's.
Okay, those are great.
Yeah, Seinfeld, Jerry's girlfriend carried Entenmann's donuts in her purse. Everybody knows Entenmann's.
You carry a donut in your purse
because remember she wouldn't share her apple pie with him, and the whole episode was him trying to figure out why she wouldn't. Wait, no, I'm sorry. Let me go back. She wouldn't try his apple pie. She wouldn't try his apple pie. She just kept shaking her head, and the whole episode was him trying to figure out why she wouldn't try it. And I think George or someone said, well, maybe she can't have sugar. And he's like, no, she carries Entenmann's donuts in her purse. Anyways, we can end this thing, Mark.
I have seen every episode of that series, but for some reason, those do not stick with me like other shows. Like I don't remember the episodes.
Yeah.
I'm sure I've seen it. All right, everyone, make it on back here next Tuesday at 5:30 Eastern, 4:30 where it counts. In the meantime, check out From the Hawkeye of the Storm. And with basketball done, I guess there are no necessarily any live streams that are scheduled.
No live streams. Like I say, videos each and every day, basically, and then we'll have some content. I expect to have some reaction with some good interviews based on the men's basketball hire, so people can keep it locked in there on the podcast and YouTube channel for that.
Fortunately, somebody was booted from the chat, and it appears as though they deserved it. Okay. Yep. All right, folks. We'll see you back here next Tuesday.